Chapter 33. Fleeing Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker. I've got to admit, Padme has a really nice apartment. I knew that senators got places on Coruscant once they were elected, but I didn't know that the ones higher up got homes this nice. Truth be told, it looks like it was meant for lots of important meetings and social occasions, and this would count as one of those. I got bored of waiting for the senators to understand what a force wielder is, even though Padme seemed to understand just fine, and went to sit on the couch. I've been sat here amusing myself with a pod racing show, which I remembered in my mind, that's floating in front of my eyes for the past 10 minutes. So, force wielders are immortal beings that can do anything they please, except for bringing people back from the dead. Senator Organa asks. Obi-Wan nods. Yes. I can hear the relief going through the man's head. That took a long time to explain considering the senators already knew about force wielders, but not what they actually were. And he, Organa gestures to me, is one of the good ones. Yes. Obi-Wan confirms for the 9th time this minute. Do you understand now? Somewhat. I resist the urge to give an exasperated look and go back to the pod racing. In case you're wondering, the show is being displayed on a smoky screen that's just floating in midair and giving off little wisps of air every few seconds. Its sound goes directly to my ear so it won't disturb their conversation and gives me a little time to relax when things are falling apart for the Jedi Order and the Republic. Trust me when I say they should have been expecting this. The Republic has so many corrupt senators that it could have easily been torn down from the inside, but I guess making it into an empire is pretty much the same thing. We know it is rather hard to grasp, but there are more important things that we have to do. What remains of our order is being treated for injuries on Polis Massa, and with this empire around we don't know what is going on in the galaxy. We need you to keep us posted and to help us return democracy to the galaxy. Of course we will help you, Master Jedi. But how will we hide our plans from a force wielder such as Starkiller, if he is as powerful as you say? Mon Mothma questions. Obi-Wan looks at me. Anakin, is there anything that you could do? I wave my hand through the smoky screen and make it disappear. I have a friend who can make it so that Starkiller won't be able to sense you whenever you're in a certain place. He'll be able to help you. Doubt if I remind him of the favor he owes me. And you didn't think to mention this before. I sigh. Obi-Wan, did you honestly think that I was going to be able to get in touch with any of my friends when I was in your Jedi temple? No. I wasn't. Anyway, we really should get going. The Senate guards are doing rounds of every senator's home who put their name on the delegation of the 2000 and taking them into custody. How do you know about that, Bill? Senator Organa asks in surprise. I'm a force wielder. I can know literally anything I want to if I set my mind to it. I answer in the most polite way I can whilst trying not to sound too arrogant. So unless you want to get arrested and executed, we should leave. How long do we have? Obi-Wan asks. 2 minutes. Tops. Then we'd better get going. I cannot believe how well equipped these senators are. True, I had more than an inkling due to my force sensitivity, but still. They all had bags waiting just in case they needed to leave in a hurry, which I already knew, and a secret exit that only the Foundation builders knew about. I'm just impressed at how organized they are compared to the Jedi Order with their one cruiser that contains no supplies and wouldn't have been used had I not warned them all that something was coming. That's just another reason of why I disagree with the Jedi Order, but I'm not about to kill them all for a little disagreement. We had just come out of the passageway and were headed for Senator Amidala's ship when a large clone patrol entered the hangar. I'd sensed them coming but never thought they'd get here so quickly. You've got to be kidding me, I comment as the large patrol seized control of the entire hangar and starting placing guards around every ship from 500 Republica. They must have come from the apartment above looking for Padme. My hand rose to get rid of them all when I cringed and flinched at the same time. Oh, Criff. I cursed quietly whilst holding my head. Anakin? Obi-Wan asked in concern. It's nothing, just I took a deep breath. If I don't use all of the excess power that is built up from my little stay in your temple, then there is going to be a very big explosion. Basically like a power outage where everything is let loose. If this causes you pain, then why didn't you say anything? Obi-Wan questioned. Are you seriously telling me that you have any spare places where I can do things to get rid of all of the power in me? Obi-Wan shook his head. No. Would using your powers to get rid of the clones help? It would give me a few hours more, yeah. I admitted whilst rubbing my temples to ease the pain. Okay, wait here. After waiting for a moment, I step out from the shadows and walk right to the center of the room with the hood of my cloak still up. The clones turn and ready their guns to shoot me, but I just stand there with a grin on my face. It is going to feel so good to get rid of some of this extra power that I have. Halt. One of them says and I roll my eyes. Where am I going to go exactly? State your intent. I sigh. Well, if you must know, my intent is to beat the crap out of you, and then get off of Coruscant. I admit. Does that sound like a good intent to you? I can sense their anger sparking, and I close my eyes as one of them comes up behind me to hit me with his gun, but he never gets to. Using the force, I throw him away and across the room before taking all the ships that aren't important to any of the senators and using them to smash into all the clones and send them to Kingdom Come. I walk through all the decimation whilst it's still happening and go right up to the ship. It's a Naboo cruiser, and I have to say it's rather nice for a ship that has been used since Senator Amidala was Queen of Naboo. I still remember being on it and hanging around with the droids. Waving my hand in front of the panel, I make the ship's doors open and the landing ramp slide out. For good measure I make sure to open the hangar doors as well, so we can get out easier. I look behind me and see that things are still being thrown about, so I click my fingers, and everything freezes just like it did in the GD temple. I wave my hand again and things move out of the way so there's a clear path to the ship and a barrier between all other entrances so nobody else can try and stop us. It doesn't take a force wielder to see the exasperated look on Obi-Wan's face. "Must you be such a show-off, Anakin?" Obi-Wan asks. I give him an innocent look. "You think that was showing off? I really need to show you some of the more powerful things I can do. How'd you like me to blow up a moon with nothing but a thought?" He went pale. "What?" "I was joking, Obi-Wan," I say. "Force wielders can't blow up moons or planets with a single thought, so you can relax." He nods slowly. "For some reason I don't quite believe that, Anakin." With that happy comment, he led the way forwards and onto the ship. I let them all go first just in case something bad happened or someone showed up. Nobody did, but it was better to be safe than sorry, as Obi-Wan frequently told me. I'd never quite understood that before now. "Relax, Obi-Wan," I say as I follow them inside. "It would take at least 50 force wielders to do something like that." "And how many are on your planet?" Senator Organa asked. 2 billion, I say before realizing. "Oh, right. Well, it's not like Starkiller can do anything when there's only one of him. Destroying planets and moons takes a lot of power to do. So what can he do?" I thought for a moment. At the rate his powers are growing, then he could become powerful enough to zap the life force from a person, but he'll never be as powerful as I am. "And how do you know he won't be?" "Because I have the highest midi-chlorian count in history and am the most powerful force wielder in existence," I inform him. "Shall we get moving then?" Senator Amidala heads to the cockpit with her protocol droid and starts the ship up, whilst the rest of us take a seat in the back. The others pull down the harnesses to secure themselves. I don't think being thrown around is one of the things they enjoy doing. "Anakin," Obi-Wan says. "Aren't you going to strap yourself in?" "Immortal," I remind him, pointing to myself. Obi-Wan glares at me. Okay, I'll make sure I don't fall off." I wave my hand over the area of the seat, and my own much more comfortable arrangement appears that goes around my waist and over my shoulder. It's much easier for me to move then. And relax. I need to be relaxed to sense the important things around me. The ship started to take off when I got the warning feeling in my gut. I gave Obi-Wan a look and he sighed. "What's coming after us now?" he asked. I turned in my seat and waved my hand at the ship wall. It started to fade until the entire section by our heads was invisible, and we could see everything that was outside on Coruscant. I spotted the problem. Immediately, there were clone ships closing in on us, and they had started to open fire. I turned to Obi-Wan. "This ship doesn't have enough power to get us away before they blow us up, and the guns need more power for that many fighters," I say. "Then what do you suggest?" I smirked at him. "You sit tight, old man. I'll go up and get rid of them." "What do you mean go up?" The straps around me disappeared and I stood up to wave my hand at the roof. A section as big as me disappeared from it. Without saying anything, I jumped up through it and it closed up again one side. Cleared it. There was a squadron of 15 large fighters, and I could sense that they knew Obi-Wan and Master Yoda were on board this ship. They knew because they had been tipped off by a certain dark force wielder from Sereno who must be sensing everything about the Grandmaster's location. I gritted my teeth and clenched my jaw. Once this ship had cleared the atmosphere, I was going to give Starkiller a nasty surprise. Blaster bolts soared through the air with deadly accuracy and hit the Nubian cruiser 50% of the time. I knew this wasn't good. Raising my hand, I used what the GD would call Sith lightning and made it into a ball of pure energy. Then I threw it at one of the ships and it exploded with a bang. The pilot fell out of the ruins and activated his safety mechanism to ensure he didn't die. I did the same thing 5 times, and that meant a total of 6 ships had been destroyed in under 30 seconds. I sensed surprise and shock from underneath my feet, which meant the others were watching the ships be destroyed. This all shock thing was really starting to get tiring. It was just an advanced force technique. There were 9 fighters left. I heard a loud bang and looked down at the ship. A large chunk had been torn out, and the force sent me a message that made my eyes widen. Obi-Wan was in severe pain. I cursed out loud and created one huge force field around the ship. All blaster bolts bounced off of it and disappeared into the air a few moments later. I raised my hand and made a fist, and the starfighters started to crumple into balls of metal. I released my hold on them after a few moments and they fell out of the sky. Then I turned on the spot and used the strongest force push in my arsenal, which was pretty powerful, to shove all offending objects and ships out of our way so that we could get out of Coruscant's atmosphere. Once that was done, I waved my hand at the floor beneath me and it disappeared. I dropped straight down into the ship itself, and the roof sealed itself up again. On the floor covered in blood was Obi-Wan. And there was a gaping hole in the place where his seat had been. I cursed myself in my head. If I wasn't having that stupid power outage right now, I would have been able to stop this. I placed my hand on the ruined wall for a second, and when I took it away it began to repair itself like healing skin. The senators and Master Yoda, who were huddled around Obi-Wan, moved out of my way as I knelt down beside him and started to heal his wounds. As I was healing him, I noticed that something was wrong. There was something in his bloodstream that wasn't supposed to be there. I used the Force to sense what it was and discovered it was a highly toxic substance that was used as fuel for ships like this one. How it got into his bloodstream I have no idea, but there is one thing I do know. I never learned how to get stuff out from people's bloodstreams, because I thought it was a waste of time and that my friends would be able to do it for me. That meant that I had to keep using the Force to sustain Obi-Wan's life essence or he was going to die, and that was not about to happen. I told the others about what was wrong and how I couldn't fix it. They were really concerned for Obi-Wan's health, and even Master Yoda could sense that there was something wrong before I told him. I really didn't want it to have to come to this, but it was either death or leaving the Order behind in a galaxy at war. His safety came first for me, so I decided to tell them about my idea. There are healers back on my planet who can heal him in the blink of an eye, I say. The only problem is I'd have to take him there to do it. Would he be able to return afterwards? Senator Mothma asked. I shook my head slowly with a frown. Not right away, no. I'm certain he'll be able to come back at some point, but knowing Obi-Wan, he'd probably want to get a good look around first. Plus, I'll need to watch him for a month just in case something happens. Master Yoda gave me a thoughtful look. Speak to the Jedi Council about this. I will be able to sustain his life with you. I nodded. Definitely. He can survive for a few hours without me anyway, and then I can just fix his immune system, so he has a few more hours again. It should be enough time for a decision to be made. Are you certain you can save him? Senator Mothma questioned. Completely, I replied. He should be fine if we reach Paulus Massa within a few hours. But Paulus Massa is halfway across the galaxy, Senator Organa pointed out. It will take us longer than just a few hours to get there. I could make us go faster, I suggested. But unless you want to lose your lunch, then I probably shouldn't. I might be able to upgrade the hyperdrive instead, so the ship travels faster through hyperspace. A safer option that seems to be, Master Yoda said. Upgrade the hyperdrive you should, and watch over Master Kenobi we will. I nodded and stood up to go to the hyperdrive. I could definitely make the ship go about 3 times as fast and 5 times as fast if I put my back into it. I worked on the hyperdrive for a solid hour without stopping, and got the ship to travel at triple the speed it did before. I always had on ear open to the Force to keep track of Obi-Wan's condition, and I had created a device on a smoky screen that displayed his pulse rate and the levels of the chemicals in his body. It was better to know how much of the toxic chemical was in his body than not to, and there was actually quite a lot of it. The fuel tank of this cruiser was so big that we had enough to go to Paulus Massa and back, which meant I just had to be grateful that Obi-Wan wasn't dead yet. I would know when things got ugly, but that didn't stop me worrying. I turned around when I sensed a familiar Force presence enter the room and smiled. It was Padme. She smiled back at me and glanced at the smoky screen beside me with a frown. Obi-Wan's charts, I explained her wordless question. She nodded in understanding. How are you? With all of this Empire stuff, I mean. I thought you could already sense how I feel. She asked. I nodded. I can, but it's considered impolite to just say how someone's feeling when they don't want anyone else to know. Padme smiled and sat down on one of the crates in the room. So, what happened to you, Anakin? Last I saw you there wasn't any of these powers or Force wielders around. I got kidnapped, I explained. By some people who wanted to take me to another dark Force wielder. But halfway there I was saved by the other Force wielders, and they killed the evil one right there in front of me. Then they said that this galaxy was filled with darkness and wasn't safe for me, so they took me back to their planet and taught me how to defend myself. I wouldn't have even been immortal if they hadn't done the typical ritual that they do for all Force wielders at birth. So when I came back here after 10 years and the Jedi saw my powers, they were as shocked as you are now. That's why they imprisoned me. Imprisoned you? Yeah, I was the first Force wielder they saw, and since I'm the most powerful, it was a really big shock for them. They got scared and decided to lock me away. I would have just left if they hadn't put me in the room right next to a support beam that would have brought down the entire temple, had I blasted my way out. I explained. Obi-Wan was never afraid of me though. Neither was Ahsoka. She's the youngling who got Chaz into my room by a few bullies one day. She's a Force wielder too. Well, half Force wielder and half non-Force sensitive. She was raised by the Jedi, so if you want to know what an untrained Force wielder is like, you should talk to her. There was an untrained Force wielder in the Jedi temple all this time. Yes. But, like I said, she's half and half, so they couldn't sense anything different about her until I started to teach her a few things. So Force wielders have been in this galaxy for quite some time then. Actually, they all used to live here thousands of years ago, but the Jedi Order thought they might attack them and tried to destroy them. Obviously they failed since I'm here, and Force wielders are immortal. Force wielders have always been neutral or on the light side, so none of the Jedi were killed, but that's the reason the Force wielders moved to another galaxy. People here were just too fearful to understand anything about them. They could only see the downsides. Had nodded sadly in understanding. There will always be people like that in this galaxy. The Republic was unable to do anything to change that when it was around. I could do something if you'd like, I offered. It would take a while, but I could use the Force to influence the way people's personalities develop, so that everyone is perfect. That wouldn't be natural, Anakin. People need to grow up in their own way and not one that we chose for them. I smirked. You're just as I remember you, Padme. I commented. They must really adore you if they made you a senator after you were queen. Not that I can't see why. Padme blushed slightly. Thank you, she said. And you are just as I remember with your personality. Always fixing things and being a good person. I smiled. Thanks, I replied. You didn't answer my question though. How are you feeling? She sighed. Like my world is crashing down around me. I still can't believe that Chancellor Palpatine would turn the Republic into an empire. Well, he is a Sith Lord. Although nobody knows about that yet other than the people on board this ship. I said. You don't need to worry that much, Padme. Nothing lasts forever and this empire is no exception. Even if it does have an immortal Force wielder backing it. Are you going to kill him? I shook my head with an apologetic look. I'm not allowed. The laws from my planet say that Force wielders are not allowed to kill one another unless the other does something to provoke you. Starkiller attacked Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, so I injured him enough to keep him away from Coruscant for a few days, but unless he does something to make me really mad, then I'm not allowed to do a thing. That's not to say I can't keep people safe though. The law only says that I can't kill him. That must be annoying for you. Yeah, it is. If I had my way he would have been blasted out of the cosmos by now for going after Obi-Wan, but I can't do that yet. I added. Don't you have anything that you have to do now that you're a Force wielder? She asked. I thought for a moment. Nope. Not unless my mentor, the one who helped train me to be a Force wielder, offers me a job or something. I got a ton of money the moment I arrived on the planet and a home. The same because of my status. Status? Of who my father is, I explained. Oh, was he a powerful Force wielder? Think bigger, I said. Way bigger. You have to promise not to tell any of your senator friends, but I'm someone from a Jedi prophecy who's destined to destroy the Sith forever, and the Force wielders have proven that my father is the Force itself. The Force? Padme repeated with raised eyebrows. As in the energy that the Jedi are tied to. Where your power comes from. Yes, I replied. It's really difficult to explain, so I tend to just say that I'm the son of the Force and leave it at that. That's why I got so much and attracted so much attention from the Force wielders. I'm actually my own species, but I haven't come up with a name for me yet. It's easier to just say that I'm a Force wielder because I am just more advanced. Do you sort of understand? Sort of, she agreed. So how long until we reach Polis Massa? Let me just do this. I use the Force to help me snap a part of the hyperdrive into a new position. We should be there in just under 2 hours.